All right. I just want to say a quick hello, Dr. Riddle, and any other alternate route candidates who will be peer evaluating this. I just want to give a quick introduction on the task at hand today. So I'm going to ask, please stop the timer for a second for the timing portion of the teach back. Just wanted to let you know this is going to be a 6th grade math lesson you're going to be watching. In addition, I did something a little bit different. I hope it's okay. As I'm going through today's slideshow and sort of showing how I would teach it, a couple things to consider. The first being that anytime you hear me say, do you have any questions, something of that nature, obviously in real time, I take any questions. We let the conversation navigate to where it needs to go. But for today's, sort of timed assignment here, we'll just magically assume the class has no questions. And then secondly, throughout the slideshow, you will see green callouts, callouts looking like the sort of word bubbles in a cartoon at the bottom of the page, which, if this was done in a real interview, you'd kind of break character for a second and tell the interviewer sort of extra things they need to know about the lesson. I didn't really want to do that as we're going. I want to kind of stay in the perspective of the teacher, which I'll start doing on the next slide in just a moment. So if you see any callouts, those are just little things to know about differentiation, or if I have something up on the screen that's there for your knowledge, but not the, wouldn't be there for the students. I made a note of that. So with that being said, we're going to kind of start the timer here officially when I go to the next slide. This is a lesson that would be done in the middle of the school year. So I decided to pretend it's coming up this upcoming school year. You'll see on the first slide, but it's going to be March of 2025 is where we're doing this. And that is going to be relevant for some of the references, I'm going to make. Because if this was last school year and I'm referencing summer of 2024, obviously that wouldn't make a whole lot of sense. So with that being said, here we go. All right. Good morning, everybody. Happy Thursday. Welcome back. Super excited to have everybody here. You'll notice that you do have a paper in your little cubby underneath your chair. We'll get to that in just a couple minutes. But we can dive right into the lesson today, actually, because we didn't have any homework, right? Very exciting. No homework last night. But we did start a lesson yesterday, and we're going to kind of continue that. Does anyone remember what we were talking about at the end of class yesterday? Yeah, very good. Absolute value, either good memory or just nice use of the cheat code here on the board behind me. You can see there, understanding absolute value. And that's what we're going to do today. If you take a look over here at our objectives board, you can see yesterday we talked about what absolute value is. But today we are going to actually learn how to apply that. We're going to learn how to kind of compare absolute values and, figure out what absolute value actually is mathematically. And then towards the end of class, we're going to see how we can apply that to real life. But before we do that, you know how we always start our class. We start with our fun fact of the day, and it is March. So what have we been doing? That's right, women's history. Very good. And so got your fun fact for you here today. And today's fact is actually about the Olympic team last summer. Did you know that the women's Olympic basketball team has won 61 games in a row dating back to 1992? That is good for 8 consecutive gold medals in that span. Not throwing shade, but that's more than the men have ever had. 8 is the record for basketball in this country. If you're saying to yourself, well, 61, that doesn't happen, no big deal. NBA teams win that all the time. Just put that into perspective. 61 days of school left. Imagine not losing a single game of kickball in gym or not getting a single question wrong the rest of the school year in math. I'd be very impressed. But that would be what that is. So that's an incredible stat, and it's still an active stat. So who knows, maybe when you all come in, visit me in high school, that stat might be even bigger with a few more Olympics. So, we'll see where that stat goes, but that's your fun fact for the day. I thought that's a really impressive big stat. We actually saw a lot of really impressive women in the Olympics last summer. Does anyone remember some of those names? Simone Biles, very good. Another one. Yeah, Katie Ledecky, very good. And she's actually our star woman of the day today, our celebrity. And she's actually going to help us out with our lesson here in just a sec. In case you forget who that is, Katie Ledecky, American competitive swimmer, 9 medals, gold medals, 14 medals all time. And that actually makes her the 5th most decorated Olympian of all time, which is pretty incredible when you think about it, given how long the Olympics are. And Katie Ledecky here is actually going to help us out with our start of our lesson here today. You can see that picture on your right there. She's on a little platform. She's about to dive in the water. Right? You see that right there? And so we're just going to use numbers here to make this easy. When she's on that platform, let's say she is 5 feet above the water. And so if you look up here at the number line, you can see, imagine she's standing on 5 there, right? She's 5 feet above the water. She dives into the water. You can see the picture right there. And now she is 5 feet below the water. And so she starts at 5. She moves, right? She dives off 5 on the number line. And now she's at 5 again. Well, that's a problem, right? If I told you you have to move to a different seat and you're still at the same seat, you didn't follow instructions, right? So what's going on here? Yeah, right. We have you can see we have 2 physical 5s on the number line, right? +5 and -5. And what do you think's happening here? Above versus below, right? We have 5 and what do you think? What do you think below is? Yeah, -5. Very good. And so that's what we're going to take a look at today. And it seems obvious, right? Okay, +5, -5, right? Seems okay at first, but you got to be careful because when we talked about Katie Ledecky here, when I was just talking swimming, when I was just talking real life, I didn't use the word negative, right? I just said 5 above and 5 below. So we have to figure out how we can kind of translate English to math, how we can bring that negative into the situation here. And that's actually going to be our key question today, our essential question. In what ways do negative numbers help us describe real life situations? And it's actually kind of a two-way street. How do we turn real life situations into negative numbers? And how do we turn negative numbers into real life situations? They kind of go hand in hand. And so in order to talk about this in terms of absolute value, we need to talk about negative numbers first. And so I'm going to ask you to take that paper from under your desk out. It's your due now, like we see here on the board. And what I'm going to ask you to do is take a couple minutes, fill in the missing spots on the number line. You'll notice that the jump is different each time. So think about what the jumps would be and what those numbers should be. Take about 3 minutes to do that. And then we'll come back, check in how we did. All right, time is up. Let's see how we did. Can we get some volunteers up on the board? Very good. Very good. Go ahead. Excellent. All right, excellent. Very good, everybody. Do we have any questions on any of these? All right, awesome. I have a question if no one has a question. I see here, James, to the right of 0 in that middle one, put 6, right? That's a little tricky when there's no first number. How did James know to do that? Yeah, very good, right? It's -6 to the left, so it's +6 to the right. Same jump in both ways. What did we call that? What did we call that yesterday? Numbers that are the same distance from 0 on either side, +6, -6, like that. Yeah, opposites. Very good. Very nicely done. And so that's going to come into play today, right? We talked about opposites yesterday. We also talked about absolute value, and that's going to be our key lesson today. Can someone remind me some things about absolute value? Very good. What else? All right. And that is what absolute value is. Nice. All right. I see you doing this symbol, right? We don't really know what those are yet, but we're going to talk about that. Very good. And yeah, you all have it. Nice. And just a quick review from yesterday, in case you don't remember, absolute value is technically a distance. It's how far you are from 0. Remember, distance is always positive, right? You can go 5 steps backwards, but you can't go -5 steps. So absolute value is always going to be positive. You know, you made this hand gesture before, right? Because you were saying that's the symbol for it. They're technically brackets, but we just kind of think of them as the up and down lines. And that's going to tell you absolute value. So you can see the example there. The absolute value of -3 is going to be 3, right? Because it just has to be positive. It's how many jumps on the number line it is from 0 to -3. 1, 2, 3. All right, everyone good so far? Cool. So now let's put that into real terms here. We take a look at 2 numbers describing the weather. It's 5 degrees in Toronto, -3 in Hartford. And so you can see here we have 3 questions. Is it above or below in each city? Is it above or below 0? Right? 5 is above, -3 is below. Very good. Which city has the colder temperature? -3, right? Nice. Very good. Because -3, why? Is less than 5. Very good. And now here's where this gets tricky. Which city's temperature is further from 0? Yeah, nice. 5. And how'd you know that? Number line told you, right? You can see, you can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 jumps from 0, -3. But what if, we were talking about planets and this was like -287 on Neptune and, 812 on Mercury? Well, that's a long way to count, right? So what can we do instead? And what we can do here is we can use absolute value. Bigger absolute value means further from 0. So what's the absolute value of 5? 5, very good. Absolute value of -3, we had that one on the last slide. 3, very good. 5 is more than 3, so Toronto has the bigger absolute value here. It's further from 0. Nice. Any questions? All right, perfect. So you are going to try this on your own now. As I am passing out this sheet, I'm going to give you some instructions, and I'm going to ask you to please flip over to the back while I am passing this out. You are going to try out this whole sheet, and what I am going to ask you to do specifically is follow the instructions, but one extra thing here. You can see page 2 is word problems. We've done this activity before. What I'm going to ask you to do is please highlight the key words on page 2 in the word problems that let you know what you're doing to solve. You saw on the examples here, words like further from, or words like below or above, or things like that, were kind of your key. So please highlight the keywords and then also solve the word problem. So I'm going to give you a couple minutes to do that. As always, in about 5 minutes, I'll put the answer key on my side desk here so you can check your answers. If you need to see this lesson again, I will start at the back at the whiteboard table. You can come back, we'll redo the lesson. You can check with your partners. And if there are any vocab words you're struggling on, you'll notice over here on the word wall, I put up yesterday's keywords. I put up absolute value. I put up opposites. And so if you need kind of a refresher on yesterday's more theory side lesson, go ahead and do that. We'll take about 20 minutes to do that, and then we will check back in. All right, so moment of honesty. What did we find most difficult about that activity? The word problems. I'm hearing a lot of word problems, right? And that's okay. That takes a little more time because you got to, right, we talked about that translating English to math. And so we're going to practice that a little bit more. Don't worry. But does anyone want to see any of these up on the board? No? All right. All good. Cool. So if we are all good, we are going to go ahead and just take a quick one last review here at absolute value before we wrap up. And can somebody tell me, this looks like a very familiar slide. We've seen this before, but something's a little bit different. Yeah, right. We added that last bullet at the end. It was 3 bullets at the start of class. Now it's 4 because that's what we actually did today, right? Sometimes we use negative numbers to mean words, right? Like under, below, backwards. Things like when we lose money or lose something, that can be negative. And so that's what we've added today. And so I want you to think about that as we are doing our last activity here for the day. We are going to do our exit ticket. I'm going to go ahead and pass this out real quick. As I am passing this out, just a quick note that you do not need to write in complete sentences on that second one. You can just give me a city for 2A and a city for 2B, and you can just give the numerical answers on the top there. So go ahead. We'll give you 2 minutes to do that. All right, so as you are finishing up that exit ticket, I'll give you an extra couple seconds if you need it. Start passing them forward. And as you are doing that, your homework tonight. Oh, yeah, there you go. Group groans. Well, we do have some homework tonight because you said it yourselves, right? We need extra practice on those word problems. They're a little bit trickier. And so that is what you are going to be doing tonight. You're going to be practicing those word problems. Of course, as always, we will go over these tomorrow, but I do want you to try them on your own, see how you do. You are not required to highlight like we did during the lesson today. I highly encourage, would certainly recommend, but some of you can dive right in. Some of you will want those highlighters, and that's entirely up to you. So go ahead if that feels right to you. Tomorrow, if there are any that we're really struggling on, we'll break out the highlighters and see what could have helped us. But let's go ahead and start and see how we do there. So let's see. Do we have all the exit tickets passed up? Yep, perfect. Very good. I will come around and collect those. Excellent. All right, perfect. So bell's going to ring here in just about 30 seconds. So thank you very much, everybody, for all your participation and hard work today. Super appreciate it. Remember, if you need any extra help, you can come see me after school today, before school tomorrow. I'll be here about 7:15. You can come anytime. And other than that, if you're having trouble on the homework, as always, email if need be. And other than that, don't forget your cell phones on the way out. And there's the bell. Have a great day, everybody. Goodbye. See you, everyone.